Festivals and digital exhibition go hand in hand in my experience. I think what most digital platforms look for is some kind of recognition, the same way that it works for independent cinema, that you have palms on a film and therefore it means it might be more interesting for an audience to go and see. It's a marketing tool. You can put your film online, obviously with a secure password. You should not make it publicly available. That's the key thing. I do know examples of people that have got as far as being shortlisted to the final 10 of the Oscars, and they do a final sweep to see that all of the films are eligible. And I know one example of a film that was on the internet and it was then disqualified because it was freely available.
Borderline criminal for a filmmaker not to have a website. I think even just a basic page with contact details and maybe the odd clip of your work is really important to have. I think it's useful for programmers to be able to access information about you very quickly.
Stills photography, behind the scenes footage, any little extras that you have to your film can be really, really useful if you're going down the alternative funding route like Kickstarter or Indiegogo. I think it's always useful to have those things, which could be an alternative revenue stream as well. It just gives you an extra bit of flexibility. If you've got a website with a trailer, that's fine, but whilst you have that, you should also have a YouTube profile.
Shooting People is an international networking organisation for independent filmmakers. When you do upload your work to Shooting People, you're automatically entered into its Film of the Month competition. The top 3 peer-rated films at the end of each month go to the celebrity guest judge. We've had all sorts from Matt Groening to Nick Cave to Larry Charles and Penny Wilcock. In July of 2012, the judge was Ravi Amaratunga, who's the series editor for Channel 4's quite brilliant Random Acts.
I'm kind of judging Film of the Month for Shooting People, and that is because not only am I kind of involved in Random Acts, but also a short film show called The Shooting Gallery, which I said we run with Vimeo, and we'll probably be looking to kind of give a development grant to the filmmaker or the film that wins that award. And we'll also be just kind of trawling through all the different filmmakers who are there as well, because again, there's a £2 million fund we've got called the Alpha Fund, just to support new talent, which is a kind of an experimental lab for all sorts of different filmmakers. So I think it's a great opportunity to get your film under my nose.
Film competitions should always be taken really seriously by emerging filmmakers, as the risk to reward, if you like, can often be quite high.
I work on a project called Virgin Media Shorts, which is really a platform for up-and-coming filmmakers. So it's not really about revenue building, it's more about providing an online platform where you can get as much exposure as possible for your short film. The kind of reward of being shortlisted is that we will have 13 films which will be in 200 plus picture house cinemas for a whole year. And then secondly, there's the kind of online platform element where we work with partners like YouTube, with our website itself, to actually build audiences around those films. BFI are kind of our biggest partner, so we work with them. Chris Collins is on the judging panel, and then once we have our winner at the end of the process, the BFI actually work with them on making their following short. So it's £30,000 worth of investment, but also the mentoring of Chris Collins and the new development team at BFI. We then work with kind of a second tier of partners, for example, Creative England, who offer further opportunities to our filmmakers. So Creative England have the Elevator Bursary, which is open to winners of several film competitions, including Virgin Media Shorts.
I definitely recommend Virgin Media Shorts competition because of what it did for me and my career. You know, you don't only get the prize money if you win to make another film, which is great, but you also get lots of exposure. I wanted to tell a story that was personal to me, but also I wanted to tell a story that felt kind of charming and like not too full on, not too kind of issue based or gritty or depressing, I suppose. And that stemmed from having been to several film festival screenings or programs where I'd just been bludgeoned with this sort of hammer of issue-based social realism.
Will you tell her I came round?
Yeah, I'll be sure to.
Is tonight. I wonder where my baby is tonight. hope she'll do no wrong. Looking for my baby, she's not around. I wonder when
One thing that I hope that you may have kind of encountered was your film festival, which is a worldwide competition that we are in the course of running. It's moved into the voting phase. We had about 20,000 submissions to that particular program. It's been whittled down to a short list of 50 that will be voted upon, and then 10 people will be taking their films to the Venice Film Festival. And one of those storytellers will be handed $500,000 and the opportunity to work with Ridley Scott.
Mo Film's really good in terms of making money, and also especially getting your profile raised in the commercial world. It's a good way of kind of practicing, almost getting a brief from a client and fulfilling, you know, the needs of a product, but also being creatively interesting and just kind of pushing that as well. The thing about Mo Film is that they're not necessarily looking for high production values, and they're not looking for you know, really slick production. So you can actually shoot an ad in a day that's not going to cost you that much money. It's not going to take up that much of your time. But if it's got a great creative idea behind it, then it's worth doing, I think.
Depict, which is the 90-second short film competition that is run by Encounters. They have nothing ugly like a premiere rule or anything like that. And even if you don't think you want to enter, if you want to understand about the sorts of films that tend to win these kinds of competitions, then an hour or so pootling about on the Depict site is time very well spent.
There's the Reed short film competition, which is really good as well. It's less exposure and stuff like that, but there is a cash prize. They always have really strong entries, and you know, there's always a really good jury. The one thing it boils down to with every competition is that they're not going to pay you to make a submission. So you've got to weigh up your free time and the specific project, whatever it is you're making, and decide whether or not you want to make that film regardless of the competition.
One of the other hats that I wear is as the UK and Australian festival liaison for a company called Cinelan, and the Focus Forward Films Challenge is the best endowed short film prize ever, and we seek your 3-minute factual stories. 90 of the top films that have gone through the competition, and we use our huge network of channels from Vimeo to Comcast and Vudu to push those films hard to a global audience.
There is a proliferation now of VOD platforms coming out. When we sell into platforms, we generally always advocate that you do a transactional deal where you're actually making money per download. That is the best way to make money online at the moment, I feel.
As the platforms become more and more congested, people are using it more and more, then the issue has become one of discovery. So how do I as a punter find the stuff that I want to watch? And that probably isn't through individual videos so much now, it's going to be through channels. That we have like Future Shorts, for example, who are picking up a lot of short films, whether they be kind of, you know, from a few years ago or relatively kind of recent, depending upon their status, I suppose, in terms of festivals.
There is potential to make some revenue from that, but it's at the moment, I find, unless you've got an exceptional film and one that's got word of mouth, the revenue is still pretty marginal when it comes to that revenue. Like YouTube will do an advertising-based model where you get a share of advertising revenue. Now, you know, you have to have an exceptional amount of views for you to make any money on that, because you're getting, you know, 0.01% of a dollar or something, which is a ridiculous minute amount of money. So you have to have, you know, millions and millions of views.
Distrify is for selling films socially via the Distrify player. So simply we have a video player, much the same as Vimeo or YouTube, but with the key difference that we have a point of sale in the middle of that player. So anytime you embed a film online, you also embed the ability for somebody to purchase that film. The nature of the Distrify player is the ability to share it anywhere online. And within our transaction mechanism, we offer an affiliate revenue of a minimum of 10%. You get paid to share, basically. Although a lot of the time people are not so interested in the money, they just want to share the film.
If you can identify at script stage a potential audience, then absolutely you should start attracting the attention of that audience and building them around your project. There are a lot of commercially minded image makers out there who indeed reverse engineer their films from a perceived gap in the market.
We have quite a lot of shots that make more than their money back. First thing is they've made a very good film. So you can't beat a very good film, of course. But it's also true that some films that are not that good do better than some very well made films. And it's because they simply know who they're making the film for, and then they're able, through a whole variety of means, to connect to that audience and then monetize that film. It was a film about street photography. I think the first day it was on, he made more than 1,000 sales of the film. And then it went on from there, and it generated, in a very short space of time, much more than the production budget of the film. Within 10 days to 2 weeks, he sent me an email saying that he'd made enough money to start making his next film. He had 2,500 people following on Twitter, and every time he tweeted, 50 people bought the film. Maybe these early 2,500 people, they really loved this film and started telling everybody else. People started to re-embed the player, maybe 25, 30 photography sites. We realised that pretty much every single person following this filmmaker were just waiting for that film to come along. That they were the best audience in the world, if you like, for that film. It was the combination of a dedicated following on Twitter, making the film go viral with the sharing of the point of sale, and then the ability to share to monetize that, whether you're connected to the film or not.
I set up a company with a friend of mine in the US called The Creative Grid, and we make content for brands direct with those people that we found. But out of 30,000 people, it was 30 probably that we work with. So that gives you an idea of the ratio of people that belong to these crowdsourcing communities and the kind of the best guys at the top, if you like.
We don't select the films that come in. We don't curate in any way. We're essentially a tool set that anybody can use. Essentially make a partnership with you because we don't acquire rights. Our profit model is based on taking a percentage, 25% of every transaction.
There's a massive opportunity around giving your stuff away and then using the content you've given away, your expression, to generate interest in you and your work and to generate support for you and new possibilities for you. So we built Vodo as a way, in an attempt to create a machine that could help you give people reasons to give you money. The Yes Men made, I think they made $40,000 on Vodo with their film Yes Men Fix the World. And I think, for example, 15 to 18,000 of that came from selling copies of their newspaper for like, I don't know, you can check on the site, but like $50 a pop. It was called a donation of $50 gets you a free paper. I believe what we're doing is ethical. We're trying to find the net benefit of sharing for us, for filmmakers, you know. It's up to us if we want to share. It's up to us who we do deals with, and we're not doing anything wrong. But at the same time, we have to kind of accept that we're at a moment where there's all this controversy, and that controversy is based on the fact that no one knows how we're going to carry on making money. Until 5 minutes ago, they didn't even know about your thing. And now you want to make them not only watch it, but engage with you, respond to it, and give you some money? I mean, this is a big ask. You can submit a film to Vodo, and you can just use the infrastructure, because the infrastructure is kind of free, because we base it all on peer-to-peer, so you could submit a film and you can use it. If you want a film for us to release, it kind of has to be something that we like and that we're into, and then we grab it and we work with you and prepare marketing materials and promote through a series of distribution partners that we're constantly talking to.
Well, having an awesome film is great, and I'm sure everyone does have an awesome film, but it doesn't really make any difference because no one knows that your film exists.
The guys who do well on iTunes, the guys who do well on the festival circuit are the guys who really self-promote themselves. If you can access, 2-3 million people, interested in your film, and you sign 10% of those buy your film on iTunes, that's quite a lot of money.
I very much used email as a tool to publicise a film, and it became a self-fulfilling prophecy that you have many people to thank when you make a short film. So if you get selected to a festival, I used to email, of course, the whole crew, but all the people that had helped, all the suppliers, the locations, maybe some of them, it starts to build a name for itself, and that certainly worked with my first short films. They were good short films, but the publicity really lifted them up to the next level. So I've carried that through to social media. I mean, of course, just mainly using Facebook and Twitter.
If you are good at using Facebook, then do so, or Reddit, or Tumblr, or Dig, or that's the rule. Just the ones that you're comfortable with.
As frustrating as it is sometimes, I friend a lot of filmmakers on Facebook, and then I just get bombarded with stuff about their films, but that's good, that's the kind of thing that they need to be doing, and I think that's key. So do it via events, go to like events at BAFTA, go to events at that film festivals put on and talk about your film at these events and get people talking about your film.
If you go to the Distify website, you won't find any films. It's up to the filmmaker or the distributor, or whoever it may be, to market the films. Start with 10 people that really are going to talk about your film, and those people will have other followings. And it's the viral nature of the use of our like social media tool sets that allows you to connect through Facebook or Twitter, or wherever it may be, however you want to do it.
Make sure that you're constantly plugged into the film festival's Twitter accounts when you're selected, and you're thanking people all the time and always updating, having something interesting to say about your short film.
Most cinemas have their own kind of Twitter accounts, their own Facebook pages, all of that kind of thing, and you could ask the marketing people at the cinema to help feed yours into that.
Tread that line of self-publicity carefully. Don't be kind of shameless in the way that you promote it, and always talk about your idea and your film as opposed to yourself.
Blogs and print press are really important in this because there are so many films out there. How do you get someone to pay attention to your film?
I would look at blogs like Short of the Week. I would look at lots of little micro networks rather than big ones, and try and build up a kind of network that way. I mean, Vimeo works in a really interesting way because it's based around the community and the user. And if you're an active user on that service and you'd already asked people for, you know, tips and kind of advice on what they thought of your film, you've already built up a natural network.
It's simply the more people see your film, the more likely they are to purchase it. So really, we encourage multiple platform use.
I've always found stuff like Vimeo and YouTube and stuff like that really useful, and being able to build your videos around you as a filmmaker on your Vimeo channel, something's great. And it's equally important to look at references and keep abreast of what's going on. And blogs like Promo News, like some music video blogs, are really good, and other like It's Nice That and other creative blogs are great. But you know, there can be time that you spend where you're watching lots of stuff and you're being inspired, but at the same time you're not really forcing yourself to work, you're not forcing yourself to put pen to paper. And I think as a writer especially, but also as a director, you want to be looking for that next project. I think at the end of the day, you've got to force yourself to make something.